Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us on this beautiful Friday for Community Briefing. Up first today, we have Mayor Sarah Karen.
Good afternoon. Today is April 24th, 2020. Today in the state, we have 2,040 cases and 10 deaths. Cottington County has one new case, so we're up to 14 cases. 13 are recovered. Yesterday, what I said was misunderstood, so I will try to say it better today. I meant to say that our healthcare community was aware of another positive test that was not reported yesterday on the state website. It is reported today. I do not believe that it is a healthcare worker. I do not know who it is. So hopefully that clears it up. Today, the unified commanders met with the remaining members of the city council. Yesterday, they met with half, and today they met with the other half and discussed what to do about the ordinance that the council passed, which expires Monday at midnight. So Monday, there will be a special council meeting to look at the emergency ordinance. No matter what the city council does, we are not going back to the way we were before we passed the ordinance. The governor has passed an executive order after we did our ordinance, and that will apply to everyone, even if they let the ordinance expire on Monday. Basically, there are three options. One is to just let the ordinance expire and fall back on the governor's executive order. A second option would be to extend the ordinance as it is for a longer period of time, or thirdly, to modify the ordinance in some way to either tighten or loosen the restrictions. So the healthcare community says we're prepared, except for the fact of not having enough tests to test everybody who we would like to test. Right now, we're still limiting the testing, and so that's one thing that we can't really get around. The problem is we don't know if we'll ever be to the point where we have ample test supplies. So we need to think about moving forward without that. So we would like your input. Numerous city council members would like to wait for what appears to be a new forthcoming executive order for the governor, possibly early next week. We're not sure, but we think that she is contemplating another executive order. And so we're considering maybe waiting to see what she does. We want to do it right, and if we make it too confusing, that will make it more difficult. So if we wait another week until the regular council meeting, which is a week from Monday, that might be what the council opts to do. Regardless, they would like your input, so please reach out to your council member or to me, and we'll take your input. Right now, today, as we are speaking, there is a food drive going on at the Boys and Girls Club, and they would like some more volunteers. They need extra people to help disinfect the goods that they're receiving and to actually check the expiration dates on the food. So if you're available to do that, please report to the Boys and Girls Club. And I don't know what they have for supplies, so I would suggest if you have a mask, to bring your own mask, and if you have rubber gloves, to bring your own gloves, because you'll be handling materials. So they could really use your help, and they can really use your food too. If you're able to donate to the food drive, it will be going on until 6 o'clock today. And if you would like to donate money, they'll also accept money. So you can drop it off at the Boys and Girls Club on the corner of 3rd Avenue and between 9th and 11th Street Northeast, or you can mail a check to the Salvation Army with WCC in the memo line. That stands for Watertown Community Cares. There's also a GoFundMe site, so you can donate online. They're looking for any kind of non-perishable food that you would have in your cupboard. So particularly things like peanut butter, tuna fish, boxed meals that are ready to prepare. Those things are always great, but they'll take whatever you've got, and that will be good. So With that, I would like to invite Megan Brink to come speak with you. She is a licensed addiction counselor from Human Service Agency. And I think I just mispronounced her name, Megan Brink. So, Megan, here you go.
All right. First of all, I want to thank you for inviting me to speak. What I just want to talk a little bit about today is how to manage our sobriety and our recovery in a time of pandemic. Some people in recovery may be struggling with how to maintain their sobriety during this pandemic. And change is hard for many of us, but those who are focused on staying clean and sober, this can be a more difficult time because this wasn't a change they were exactly able to prepare for, just like most of us out there. So I want to spend some time talking about ways to manage your recovery and help with your sobriety during the COVID-19 pandemic. So first is managing our emotions and being aware of emotional triggers. So watching for those red flags that appear when we're not managing our emotions in a healthy way. For some, it may be anger or loneliness or feeling deprived. So these emotions can make a person vulnerable for a relapse. Being aware of these emotional triggers and intervening before they've taken over is the key to managing them. And strategies such as journaling, or keeping a diary, processing your emotions with a support person or your counselor can be helpful as well. Reducing your stress and focusing on signs of stress when it manifests itself can also help you manage your recovery. And we need to remember that stress shows itself in physical and emotional changes. So trying to minimize your stressors by being aware of stressors that are acceptable, like maybe a deadline at work or something like that, that's unavoidable. Or spending a lot of time watching the news or being on social media, that is one that you can manage. So maybe cutting back your screen time or what you read with all that's going on in the media today. And then using self-control strategies such as relaxation, self-talk, taking a break when you can, deep breathing, counting, meditation, and prayer can all help reduce overall stress. So the last thing I want to talk about is physical illness. Maintaining a good physical health is an important part of recovery, and making sure that you're getting good sleep, eating healthy meals, exercising 3 to 4 times a week can help reduce the chance of any physical illness. More now than ever, it's important to balance the various aspects of our lives, and our recovery needs come first. Taking care of ourselves emotionally, mentally, and physically gives us the best chance at staying clean and sober. If you find that you're struggling with your recovery, you can call HSA 886-0123. There's somebody there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to answer the phone. You can ask to speak with one of the addiction counselors. We have a lot of resources that are available to help you during this time. Also, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration has virtual recovery resources, as well as hotlines to speak with someone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also have websites for those resources available on the HSA Facebook page. And there's also support here within our community. The Gilbert House has set up online AA meetings, and those are held 3 times a day. Those will also be available on our website. There's also resources available for loved ones. So there are also Al-Anon meetings set up for those who need support, and these resources will also be available on our Facebook page. Thank you.
Aloha. I'm Bill Zubke, and on occasion it has been opined that I use social media every day. Mayor Karen responded to one of my posts last week about what to do to make this a little easier to be us during this time, and asked if I would come up and express those ideas with you. My shyness therapy group suggested it would be a good thing to do. So that's what we're going to talk about, because I'm going to ask you for something today, but it has absolutely nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with anything but your time. What I'm going to ask you to do today is take 5 minutes every day to go on a mini vacation. This is the way it works. You get to be your own travel agent. You get to choose the people with whom you travel. You're going to go someplace that you've been before where life is beautiful, where you are free, where you are comfortable, where there are no stressors, and you simply enjoy the memory of that point in time. I've been doing this for a lot of years because I taught school and there were some stresses involved with that process. My favorite place to go is Hawaii. One of our former students was in the Navy and there was no room in the bachelor officers' quarters, so he had to rent a 4-bedroom home with a swimming pool in Watertown. We felt so sorry for him that we went and spent 2 weeks just to brighten his days. For me, it was wonderful because every morning I'd get up, I'd put on as little clothing as I possibly could. I would go out and in this wonderful chaise lounge, just relax for 10, 15 minutes with that sun down on me. And the fact that if I got too hot, I could jump in the pool. Every time I go there, I relax. We've been lucky during our life to do some traveling. If you ever have the opportunity to visit an estancia in Argentina, there is no ambient light. You see the full Milky Way. You see the Southern Cross. And you have this feeling of total aloneness, quietness, and safety. And it relaxes me. You don't have to go someplace. You can revisit an event in your life. For some of you, it may well be the birth of your first child. For some of you, it may be some place that you just relax completely. Frequently, I revisit our wedding. August 11th, 1973, 1750 degrees. Grace Lutheran Church. Now, at Grace Lutheran, they were afraid that during the process of all this heat, that the candles were going to melt and get on the carpet. So we purchased dripless candles. They didn't drip. They coagulated and then fell to the plastic, sounding very much like a cow going through a pasture. Now, granted, that doesn't sound like maybe something you want to revisit, but I just howl when I think of that. We were so careful, and whop, whop. Here's the deal. When you visit that place for 5 minutes, your entire body rejuvenates. I don't care if you do it before you get out of bed in the morning. I don't care if you do it before or after meals, which are much more frequent during this period. I don't care if it's the last thing you do at night. Take that 5 minutes and take a mini vacation. It's less than 1% of your day, but I'll guarantee you it'll make the other 99% bearable. Thanks for asking me.
Thank you, Mayor Karen, Megan, and Bill for presenting today. Are there any questions from the media?
Troy Van Duzen from KXLG Radio for Mayor Karen.
I'm all relaxed after listening to BZ. Go ahead and ask me anything.
Mayor Troy with KXLG Radio. I had a gentleman contact me earlier today, and he was asking about the positive cases in Cottington County, and if there was a way to determine where those cases are coming from. For example, one case down in the Sioux Falls area came from a daycare. There's cases from Smithfield Foods. Are we able to determine, or is someone able to relay that information so the public knows where those cases are coming from?
I think the only way for that to happen is if the person reveals themselves. That's private HIPAA protected information. And I don't know it. I don't know who the people are that are testing positive unless they tell me. No one comes and tells me that someone else was the person. So do you want to add to that, Jen? Yeah. Jen's probably better at answering that.
I think you did a great job. So like Mayor Karen said, HIPAA is a regulation that we have to follow as a healthcare entity. So any healthcare entity that has any patient cannot divulge any personal information about that person. So, for example, Dr. Devine, a couple weeks ago, he tested positive and he self-disclosed that he was an individual that had tested positive for COVID. And so Sanford Health was able to then say, we have an employee, Dr. Devine, who is positive. So it's really up to that individual and that organization to disclose that information. Does that answer your question, Troy?
Yep. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, it sure does. I guess just a follow-up to that, Jennifer, if it becomes a public safety issue where there's a child that's been exposed at a daycare, that information wouldn't be released either?
So that's when the Department of Health would get involved. So there are different public safety type things that the Department of Health can do. So that would be when their involvement would be crucial for public safety's sake.
Okay, if you said that, I apologize. I'm up here at the Boys and Girls Club with the food bank, and they are saying that we do have a lot more room for more donations, so we're going to encourage people to bring those non-perishable items by as well.
Great. Yep. Mayor Karen mentioned that before. And again, to reiterate what you said, donations are open until 6 o'clock. So if you have food you'd like to bring in to the food drive at Boys and Girls Club, there will be there till 6 o'clock. And if you're willing to volunteer, they have those hours open until 7 to help look at expiration dates. Any other questions, Troy? Dan, do you have anything?
Yeah, a question for Mayor Sarah Karen. So obviously, you just have to clarify the comments at the beginning about yesterday's presser. Obviously, and just to kind of be explicitly clear, you don't believe as a healthcare worker in respect to privacy of the person who tested positive. It sounds like it could be just a regular citizen, I guess, or
Right. And if I made it seem like I knew who it was and that it was a healthcare provider, that was not what I intended to convey. Mm-hmm. I don't know who it is, and they may or may not be a healthcare provider.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you, Dan and Troy, for your questions. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It's a beautiful Friday. I hope you have a great weekend. You can join us again on Monday at 3 o'clock for another community briefing.